You guys for joining me for another episode of Starseed Activations. So we have a lot of interesting energies that's been coming up the past few days. So let's dive right in and let's talk. So just really first, we're just going to leave, right? And just do a quick cleansing and blessing of the energetics. And thank you, star people, angels, and guides, for allowing this transmission to be full of love and light and the exact information that each individual watching needs to hear in order to assist them during their evolutionary process. And so now we're going to start out our sessions, hopefully, if I remember, but we're going to try and say manifestations for peace and positivity during the transmission. Yeah, welcome. Hi, my Kira, Sneaky Snatch Squatch. Welcome, Melissa. Thank you guys for joining us. So, okay, so we're going to dive right in. So we had a couple of interesting topics that came up. Hi, Infinity. Nice to see you. So one of the topics that came up is seeing potential timelines. Now, I personally have experienced this. I had no idea what it was at the time, but now I understand. And so when we see timelines, it's kind of like having the thought form come and allowing to see the potentials before they fully manifest into the physical reality. And so many times we may see a deja vu. A deja vu is seeing what's already happening, except you're seeing it twice. And so a part of you knows that you're seeing it twice, and that's impossible. You're not supposed to see something before it happens. In a physical reality, that would be impossible. However, we do it all the time. We see it all the time. When you zone out, let's say your zone of focus goes into a daydream, that's when you can actually start to access this timeline potential. So when you reach a certain, it's like a very, very high frequency of a mental ability. And it basically feels like your brainwaves are firing off so rapidly that you can see the potentials before they happen. So it's like, just imagine having a conversation. Yeah, it's a glitch in the matrix. Good one, Derek. Just imagine having a conversation with someone, and then you have a power of foresight as to what they're going to say before they actually say it to you. And so it's wild, because then the more and more you craft the ability, it goes further and further and further. So instead of just seeing the first layer to it, okay, well, if they say this sentence, then I could say X, Y, and Z. So you're giving yourself potential outcomes. But if they say this sentence, I could say X, Y, and Z. So it's branching out. It's very deep. And this goes 3 or 4 levels deep, but then you level up. And then that ability turns into you're picking and choosing the timeline that you wish to express for manifestation. So, for example, you're able to project your consciousness into the future of the timeline that you are currently in magnetic alignment with, the star people are saying, which is going to give you access into the information as far as what is about to happen or what is magnetically being drawn into you. And so let's say you are about to manifest something that you are not in vibrational alignment with. So you don't want it to happen. So what happens? Well, we normally get rattled. We change our frequency, or we may have like an intuitive hit come to us and it's of danger. And so what does that make us do? It makes us stop and second guess what we're about to do. Is this safe? And then we can course correct and change, which averts the danger. That's what the star people are saying. So that's how that whole system works. It's all what you are magnetically manifesting in the now moment. For every single second is a manifestation. Every single second. Even this moment that we are co-creating right now, it's a manifestation from each and every one of us. We had to be in magnetic alignment to manifest this experience into our lives. And so when we realize that it all is what we create it to be, each and every one of us had a choice. We could have chose to go to sleep, right? Or go to bed early. And then you wouldn't be here for the experience. You would have missed out on it. So when you're magnetically in alignment with something, it's kind of like your heart pulls you to it because it's part of your highest passion, they're saying, as well as your highest excitement, and as well as your life purpose and mission. Because anything that gets you excited is part of your life mission. Anything from your childhood is also part of your life mission, although that can be considered training for what's to come. And so they want you to think about it like this. Let's say, for an example, you were a child. You were very, very interested in playing in the dirt. And so you used to plant flowers or blow the dandelions and plant the seeds and try and get the dandelions to come up. You were playing, you were interacting with the earth. You're zoned into a zone of focus where it's kind of like that zone of focus that the artists get into when they are painting a picture. And so you're highly excited. So your frequency is raising while you're doing this engagement of childlike activation of play. And so now all of a sudden you grow up, you turn into an adult. Now you have a flower shop. And so the flower shop is the only place that you feel real peace because you are engaging and interacting with all the plants. You are loving them. They bring you a sense of joy and wonder just by watching them burst and watching all the flowers and the smells and the senses that you get from each and every plant. There's all different frequencies. If you guys walk through a nursery and you really like just tune yourself out and just feel the energy that pulses off of all these plants. These plants are here to heal us. And it's in the future, I can see it becoming something it's everywhere. And so people are going to be having these plants like, what is it called? Terrarium? Like a glass house that you put all the plants in. And so everybody is going to want to have their go-to plants next to them. So, you just got a job in the floral department, see? And so now you have plenty of time, maybe before the store opens, that you can just do some quiet meditations and feel into the plant's energy. Now, it was funny because, well, I've been having a thing, right? And so it's just a thing. But the star people did a whole energetic healing on me. And what they told me was summon the herbal corporation. And so when I heard them say it, I was like, what? Like, that's how they actually speak about it. So think about the herbs, because at that point I had all sorts of questions. I'm like, you guys sound like something out of a magician movie. But they said it like they were in my room. I heard them. So summon the herbal corporation. And now when you dive into what that means, the herbal corporation, all the plants, they all work in corporation. And so when you figure out which plants that your body needs to heal itself, let's say you take a multitude of plants. So whenever we buy teas, the teas are like dandelion tea, but they put other teas and they blend everything like a herbal, right? And then you take the cup and I mix mushroom powder in it. And so you're getting a whole bunch of nutrition just by doing a tea each day. Right. And so when we start to really start interacting with these plants, they have the sheer potential not only to heal us, but to raise our frequency. I use the mushroom powder to ground into the earth and connect into the mushroom collective. The mushroom collective is full of monoatomic gold. So just by sensing or feeling or allowing their frequency to wash over your body, you're raising your frequency automatically, because mushrooms are the #1 cure on the planet. So they're chock full of monoatomic minerals, and those minerals bring us more oxygen in the body, and then it helps us to heal from different things that are happening. So it's just absolutely, absolutely amazing. So you guys look into it too. Feel out which teas, which plants call to you. Not only that, but let me explain something about the plant kingdom in itself. They're highly intuitive. They're highly intellectual. We don't see them that way because we can't communicate with them, but they can hear our language. They can sense our energetics. That's how they primarily communicate. And so when we start to communicate with them, they can tell us exactly what plant that we need. Now, many people are starting to put the little technology on the plant so they can hear the sounds. And so the plant emits electromagnetism, or it's actually, the star people saying magnetism, electricity. So it's backwards. And so that sound is showing us that they have a consciousness because they can change the sound. So when you actually speak to the plant, it can reply to you. Now, certain plants, let's say you have a flower in your house. That flower releases a smell, and that smell attracts us to the flower. That's why many people put, fragrant flowers in their homes. Now, when you own a flower, let's say you have it on top of the sink and it's by the window, whatever. The second that you come in the home from being at work all day, that flower, poof, releases the pheromones to try and get your attention and draw you in. And then you may have a thought come in your mind, oh, water, maybe I should water the plant. And we never think that that thought is coming from the plant. But the plant actually pushes the thought into your head because it's radiating electrical magnetism, or magnetism electricity, the star people are saying. That's going to take a while to get used to saying. Yeah. What kind of mushrooms do I recommend? So I go for the favorites. Reishi, chaga, lion's mane heals a ton of things. So anybody with cancer needs to look into that. I think I just saw something flying in the bag. I don't know if you guys saw it. I don't know. I'll check it back. Lion's mane, and then I have another one that's like a blend of all the rest of the mushrooms. So I actually have 4 bags of those mushrooms, and then what I do is I blend them all into one jar, and then I just use it. So, and I put it. I don't like. I love mushrooms, but not in my mouth. And so I don't know. I try to use my words in such a way where it's a positive affirmation, right? And so we can't say I don't like. No, we have to love each and everything. But it's just so I have to mix it in with the tea, but I put mushroom powder, and this way I can at least get it in. Now, no, I bought them in a bag, so they were already store bought and dry. So it's like mushroom powder. But when I stick them in the cup of the mushroom, even though I may not like them, right, I smell them. And I actually give it a minute. I actually smell the entire cup of tea, and it smells earthy. So if you've ever we're up a mountain. So if you've ever like walked in the forest after it rains and it smells like that earthy like smell, that's how the mushroom powder smells when you put it in hot tea. And so, but what I do is I allow that emotion, because that smell is triggering an emotion. We're smelling the earth. And so you're triggering an emotion of being in the earth. It's an experiential. And so when you take that cup and it allows you to feel like you are standing next to a mushroom, and you visualize it, you see it, you sense it, and then you send it love. You thank it for healing you. And so when you guys don't even realize how strong it is to bless your food. And blessing the food, let me tell you something. I was doing this with my kids, and we were doing the 1, 2, 3, right? So thank you, Lord, for this food, blah, 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 blah. That wasn't doing anything. It was doing 5%, the star people are saying, because your words is very strong, and it does change the ether. And so you can change the subatomic snowflakes when you speak, yes. However, when you encode it with a magnetism, it times it by 1,000. Scientists on this planet haven't realized that yet. They will eventually. And so when we sit here and tell you guys that you have to hold emotion codes, that basically means going into the lower chakra in the heart and really feeling, what is it that you wish to manifest? Do you want to feel healthy? So how does it make you feel? If you can just visualize and imagine and just really call up, they call it summoning. And so you have to summon or call up the emotion of how does it make you feel to be happy, joyful, blissful, having your childlike mind, your creativity fully activated and happy and excited. And oh my God, we're all master magicians and we can have superpowers. And right. So how do all these things make you feel? You guys should get jumping for joy over excitement, because there's more to this life than we have been told. And we can activate it by going inside. And so the more and more we start to place our focus on that, the more and more that timeline will strengthen in its magnetism, which will then allow you to magnetize that timeline into your physical reality. I used to take shaga, but I learned it has a lot of oxalates, bad for the kidneys. Any thoughts? Normally mushrooms make me bloat. I bought lion's mane and can't take it. So yeah, everybody is different. I would check out and see what brands you're using first and just check. I think the mushrooms are very, very healthy and beneficial. So, but you also have to realize something. Each and every one of us is tied into our own independent simulation. This is the way this whole system works. And so we take a look at allergies. Allergies work the same exact way. Now, we found that with people who are exhibiting split personality syndrome, there's another word for that. I keep forgetting it. Sorry, you guys. I know some people are sensitive to it. But they can have 2 separate personalities in one physical body. When one personality or one soul fractal is in that body, it will have a particular set of allergies. So they may be allergic to the mushrooms. So they can't take the mushrooms at all. But that other soul form or that other personality needs the mushroom to heal. And so when that personality steps forward, they can eat the mushrooms all they want, and it makes them super healthy. So this shows us how, and this is one body and 2 soul forms, split personality syndrome. We all can develop and coax different personalities into our body. So many times when you take a look at people who have serious traumas, those serious traumas fractalize the consciousness and they call for a protector. And so that protector is usually the timid and meek person will go into the background, and then the protector will come forward. So if anyone's ever, the star people are saying, if you've ever gotten like hit or beat so badly that you eventually became numb, or you didn't talk, you didn't cry, you didn't scream, you just it didn't even phase you, right? Because you activated, like the rock came out, and it was like, you can't hurt me anymore. That's actually a split personality. It's not the same type that the doctors would see, but if you had a look at the personality cube, now it kind of goes like this. This is what your Merkaba field looks like. It's a star tetrahedron, right? And the flower of life is in there. Now on the cube, you have 4 points, right? So a square, right, has 4 points on this side. It has another 4 on this side. That makes up 4 and 4 is 8. And so 8 times 8 is 64. So the way that your energetic grid inside of you works, so star people just keep calling it a 64-bit cube. And so they said that that's your personality complex. Each one of those cubes, so you have 64. Each one of those cubes, you can download different consciousnesses into, different personalities into. This is the way we channel, is by allowing that the soul form frequency from a different individual makes telepathic communication by plugging into the 64-bit square cube, he's saying. And so I would love to see an image of that. That would just be amazing. Mind blown. But now that we know that that's the way it works, think about it from a physical perspective, because I can relate that whole concept to my life. Now, I know when I'm around different people, I feel like my personality shifts. So I'm more timid around certain people. I'm more expressive around certain people. So you have to realize that your higher self, the soul form that plugs in the personality grid, it's plugging in different parts of your personality or activating them, the star people are saying, depending on who you are vibrationally surrounded by. So it activates different parts of your own independent personality. Now, each and every human being on the planet is capable of darkness. Nobody likes to talk about this. This is just how it is, though. If you took a human being and you pushed them under extreme trauma, under extreme darkness, they could potentially activate evil, anger, addiction. Any one of us can fall into any one of those categories. And so you have a look at children, because children in I don't know exactly what country it is, and it doesn't really matter, but we've all seen movies about children carrying machine guns, smoking cigarettes. Why are they like that? Because they were traumatized, and that trauma pushed them to activate darker complexes in their grid structure. And so when we look at ourselves and we want to believe that we're all love and light, the truth of the matter is that you are who you are in this moment, because this is who you're meant to be. And so if you could shine more light, that's more power to you, because that's how you evolve. If you see someone in darkness and you can help them to overcome that darkness and reach into the light, more power to you, because that's how you help them evolve. And by helping other people to evolve, you will evolve too. However, we have to think, I thank God. I thank God I count my blessings every single day, because that darkness, that trauma that I walked through, it didn't push me into the darkness. Anybody can turn into a serial killer. And it just takes the right amount of pressure and trauma to push them into that path. And so when we know this, that 64-bit cube inside of us, half is light and half is darkness. And so what you plug into it is all up to you. It's only an experience according to the spiritual nature of who we really are. So each and every one of us, we're designed to have the experience. We have free will. And so that free will gives us the choice. It gives us a selection of what do you choose? Do you choose to hold the light? Do you choose to hold the dark? If we cast judgment. And so just imagine for 1 second, I see something, I say, oh, that's darkness, right? The darkness and the light is one frequency wave. One is faster, one is slower. But the second I cast a judgment on it, that judgment, it karmically cycles back, and now it's up in my face. Now I have to deal with that judgment. So if you are judgmental against somebody, that judgment having the cast back on you, let's say, for an example, you made fun of kids when you were young. Let's say you made fun of someone because they had to wear glasses. Now, all of a sudden, you're an adult. Now you have to wear glasses. That's how that whole cycle works. This is why I think even in the Bibles, I think they even have telling you don't judge other people. right? And so just don't do it, because I see the cashbacks. When you reach a high enough frequency, and so many of you guys are already up to that level, but you start to see the psychic cycle, the karmic cycle cast back. And so I know from firsthand experience, when somebody harms me, they get it right back tenfold. Even though in my mind, in my body, I'm like, thank you for protecting them. Thank you for loving and lighting. I forgive them. So I'm keeping myself all positive. I don't wish harm on anybody. It's always a lesson for me. If you harm me, it was something I needed to learn for me to evolve. Did I fire off any emotions? Yes or no? Was it a cycle repeat? Has it happened in my past? Or I try and take every single experience and learn from it. Everything. Even if it's me helping someone at the store, right? How did I learn from that? How did it make me feel? Did I feel open-hearted and joyful? So what did I learn? I learned that it's nice to help other people. I like it a lot. I like giving things away. If I could walk around all day manifesting a ton of, they stopped me from cursing. I don't know if you caught that. If I could just walk around all day handing stacks of money to everyone and just continuously manifesting more, I would do it. Just like Mr. Beast, actually, he did it. So, but it's wonderful, because when you guys unlock your abundance, that's what we all have the potential of doing, right? We all have the potential to just wham, instantaneously manifest enough for everyone. I mean, even the story of Jesus Christ, he had a bucket of fish. He just knew that the fish would always be full. He would have enough for everyone, and boom, there it was. And so when you truly, truly believe that, now let me tell you something. Most of the time, it's not every time, because everyone has their own path. But what I experience and what I see in other people around me, many of the times when we get to that level where we have zero, we have nothing, we have everything gets taken away from us, and then we have no choice. We have to just release the physical world, and we have to continue to walk forward and just know that we will find a way to make it through. And then what happens? Every single day you have exactly what you need. So what did that teach you? Yes, it could be considered darkness because everything was taken from you. However, now you built faith and trust that the universe was going to provide everything that you needed in order to walk through your day. That's power. Because the second that you believe, it doesn't matter what happens today, I'm always going to have every single thing I need in the now moment, it manifests for you. Now, I told this on a bunch of other lives too. I walked into a Dunkin' Donuts. It was like 3:00 in the morning in New York. Crazy things happen in New York. I had $100 bill and I had 3 singles wrapped in the receipt. So I know that was a change. And so the man had already made my coffee. He made 2 egg sandwiches, 2 coffees. He looked at that 100. He was like, not today. And I had 0 money on my credit cards. I had $3 wrapped in the receipt. So I know how much was there. So I showed him the $3 and I thought the bill was $12. I took the $3 and I showed it to him. It was 1, 2, and then a 10 popped up. And I was like, oh my God, because I knew what had happened. And then he pointed at the cash register. He goes, it's 16. You didn't see it right. It was like an old school register. And so I was like, this is all I had. So I took the $12 and I spread it out on his counter again, and it turned into a 10, a 5, and a single. And so the Dunkin' Donuts man, his eyes bugged out of his head. And he looked at me and he goes, how did you do that? And at that point, it was just jumping for joy, because now I just had to go to the car and get some change, and I had enough. That's the potential that each and every one of us have. We can do it. You have to be I was really, really happy. I was walking around laughing all day. We were going to the beach all day. We were eating salads. Yeah, I was still eating Dunkin' Donuts. We were driving around. We were doing Uber. All over the place we traveled. So it was like an adventure we were on. So you have to get to that level of happiness. I shouldn't say you have to get to that level. That's the level I was at when it unlocked that belief system for me. And now all of a sudden, I don't worry about anything. Even if it looks like my house of cards is about to fall down, I'm like, I got this. I'm not even going to worry. And guess what? The next day I wake up, it's like, boom, boom, boom. Here's the money. All the bills get paid. Right? And so everybody can do this. That happened to me a year and 9 months ago. Everything was replaced and mind blowing. Yes. And when the universe removes from you, you get new stuff. That's it. That's you're going to need it. You're going to need your clothes, right? So back in July, the Star people, they had me give away 95% of my entire household. Even the kids stuff, all my clothes. I had this ginormous closet filled with clothes. And you know what I did? I gave it all away. And then I went out and I bought brand new Adidas and brand new clothes, but minimalized it. So instead of having 50 something outfits, I'm down to a proper smaller amount, which now, if you smell me, I always smell like fresh laundry soap every single day. And that's because the amount of clothes I have, I'm always wash, right? So it's always fresh. Okay, I have a question about an occurrence I experienced recently. Is this an okay time? Put it and hopefully I see it. Let me see. Okay. What if you don't understand what should be learned from it? What if this repeated cycle, same situation? So sometimes that actually happens. So we'll have shades or veils which won't allow us to see. This is why some people are stuck in the physical reality and they don't understand. They cannot see what it is that you're trying to explain. That's okay too. That just means that there's a belief pattern running, or there's density or a trauma that will not let you see further up the frequency scale until that trauma is healed. And so this is the reason why we have to go inside. We have to do the shadow work. Now, recently, I've been doing attachment releases with most of my session people. I just jump right into it. I'm like, let's just do this. Let's see how it feels. And so we have an attachment release class coming up this Saturday. I made it into 2, so 3 o'clock or 6 o'clock. We still have a couple seats left. So you can purchase a seat at daniellelipton.com. But they're going very fast. Every day we have more and more people signing up. So the classes are getting big. And at a certain point, I'm going to cut off the sales. The attachments is very important because it goes into this. If you can't see and you can't learn from the cycle repeat and it keeps happening and happening, we're called to hold a higher frequency of love to that cycle repeat. But if you just don't understand it, that means that something is blocking you from understanding it. And so in that case, you would want to, do an attachment release. So you have to go into what cycle is it? Is it like a car accident? Because a car accident or something like that, which is crazy in the physical reality, always coming from the root chakra. Is it like a disease? So say if you have a kidney stones, and then all of a sudden it's a year goes by and you have kidney stones again. Well, that's coming from the orange chakra, which is your sacral. And so then you would have to place focus in the orange chakra. Now, if it's something like brain fog, we know we look automatically at the pineal gland, but brain fog can also be the solar plexus because your brain waves are electricity in its nature. And so your solar plexus pulls in the chi energetics from the ether, which recharges your electrical circuits. So, yeah, and you just have to take a look at the actual cycle. Now, for that, I can't say I'm a hypnotist, but it's really easy for me to get people into a relaxed frame of mind, especially if we have extra time. And so if I get someone on the phone and they have a cycle repeat like that, I normally calm them. I, take a deep breath. Everything is going to be okay. Everything is fine because everything is in its divine order and you are exactly where you are meant to be. So I actually, not to get off topic, but I just had a deja vu the other day. And the deja vu was like, oh, I'm at this point in my story and I'm about to be in 5D very, very, very soon. And that was the feeling and the memory which had washed over me. And I was like, oh, and it was like a light bulb going off. So, but it's the same exact thing as a cycle repeat. So we see the cycle repeat and we think, okay, well, this is a cycle repeat. We have to handle it because we need to heal. And to some degree, that's correct. But from another degree, it's just a timeline. Right? So we can make instantaneous shifts in our frequency, which put us on a totally separate magnetic timeline in which none of that stuff ever happened. So if you take a look at the Mandela effect, now the governments have actually done extensive research with the Mandela effect because they're in control of the commercials that we all see on the TV. And so when they tell you something on the TV, it's programming your memory. That's why it's called television program. You're programming your memory grid. And so when now they program people in New York with a particular memory, right? So let's say this hurricane came and it whipped up and blah, 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 blah. They put it on the news in New York. Now, across in California, they tell them something different. So now if you take a New York and a California people, they exist in the same exact reality, but they have a different mentality of that timeline, because their history is technically different. They manifest different realities because they believe different things experienced in their past, right? So that's the Mandela effect. Each and every one of us has a completely different timeline. We just are unaware of it. But if we sat down, for example, everyone kept a journal. So this happened today. This was in the world news. This was this, that was that. And then all of a sudden we allow a year to go by and then we compare notes. you're going to see that your perception is different than mine. And if we compare the journals, it's totally different. And so when we take a look at the holographic simulation, you have to have 12. And it's 12 decimals or disciples or perspectives of the physical reality, which then after you see it by 12, it's like they're showing me like a Rubik's Cube. When you have all 12, it allows you to project the holographic simulation and physically see all of it, everything, because each person is connected. I guess every person in the planet is connected by 12 different energetic grid structures, is what the star people are saying. We should write that down. Okay. Yeah, see, everything showed up out of nowhere. Relationship. Okay, relationships too. You got to watch with the empath and the narcissist relationship. A lot of star seeds, we fall into this naturally. And this happens because just imagine for 1 second that we are holding extra love and light in our energetic grids, which means we're more forgiving, we're more loving, we're more compassionate, we're more intuitive, although sometimes the intuition gets blocked because of the compassion, because we allow or we compromise. And so this is part of that cycle too, is over compromising or making excuses, right? Because we want to see the good in people. And when we allow that to proceed for an extended period of time, it just gets darker and darker and darker. Now, the empath and the narcissist cycle is specifically drawn to the starseeds because we are being instructed to learn boundaries. This is a cycle that so many starseeds go through. So many. I see it online. I see it in the sessions. I see it all over. I've been through it. I've been through it multiple times in this life. And what are you going to do? We naturally want to see the good in people. We want to hold more love and light. And we expect that our partners, who may not be a starseed, a lot of times we choose human partners and we try and pull them up and do the best of the best, try and do right by them and try and get them to be super, right? But sometimes it just doesn't work because we can't force, we can't control. We have to be at peace and just allow. And that's how you start to access the holographic simulation controls, is by allowing and going with the flow of life. So life flows like a frequency wave. Many people call it a river because rivers do this. It's a frequency wave. And so when you get into the flow and you realize if doing something does not bring me happiness, joy, and bliss, I'm not doing it anymore. That's the bottom line. Me too. If I go somewhere to a location and I'm not like high vibing and buzzy and laughing and having a great time, I'm sorry, I gotta go. It's not a good fit for me. Right? And that's my boundary ring. A lot of starseeds we do isolate too. And that's normal. That's actually part of the process. So especially now, because we're very, very close to the ascension and the solar flare. I'm not going to give dates, but we are very, very, very close to and people can feel it, like something is going to happen, right? And so, but now, of course, the star people are stepping forward and they're saying, but each and every one of you is technically in your own timeline bubble. So while I could feel it's about to come, something is about to happen, I notice reflections in other people that could potentially be only people on my magnetic grid. And so each one of you guys has to feel inside. Do you feel like something's about to fire off or no? That's how you know. Now, I know who's on my magnetic grid because I start to see reflections in them. So things that I go through in my life, I start to see it in theirs. And this could even be things in my past. The law of polarity shows us. So many times when we have the empath and narcissist cycle, we go through it. So we experience it from the empath, let's say, because we're all the starseeds, right? And so we experience the empath position. But then in the future, we generally, the law of polarity says you got to experience it from both perspectives. You got to be it, you got to witness it. Then you got to heal the entire situation. So then you go and you watch other people go through it. That's the polarity of it, right? It's a positive and a negative. You do it and then you have to see it. You have to see someone else go through it. And so it is what it is. Now, when you see both of those and you heal them, you send them love and light. It's like you have darkness and you send love and light. You have a higher understanding of the entire situation. Yeah. Beautiful. I mean, what was that? Okay. Hi, my Kira. Sneaky Sasquatch. That's my daughter. She's 9. Hi, Cody. Okay, that's what woke me up. All was dealing with the narcissist. Grateful to have transmutated and in pure peace and content. Yeah. See, and you're the biggest isolator. So Isolation, when you originally get rid of the narcissist, that's normal because you're meant to heal, but you shouldn't just be isolating and staying isolated. That's not healthy because you can activate the fight or flight systems. That's exactly what I did. In July of 2022, I activated the fight or flight system. So it was kind of like an emergency. And, the star people came down and they had to save me. So it is what it is. But it was because of going through all the trauma and then going into isolation. Now, back in July, I couldn't even walk into a supermarket. I would start to feel anxiety and panic just from being around people. And so, but this happens when the fight or flight systems become activated. So this is part of isolation, because when you spend enough time in isolation, going back into the civilization and blending in with the society's frequencies, it's so incoherent. It's like, it's not even a frequency match. So anytime you go somewhere that has many people, especially on a weekend, the weekends were crazy. I would walk in, I'd be like, I have to get out of here, just because I would feel anxious and panicky. And so you can overcome it, because I did. But it was baby steps, right? So I had to go, and then I had to go again, and then I went again, and then finally I could take a deep breath. It was so funny too, because when I was going through all that, the star people, they speak through other people. So they channel through you guys all the time. You just have no idea that it's them. And so the one guy in Target, he said what I say. So I always say, thank you, thank you. And I walk around telling people, you're amazing. I say it all the time. It was like a repeat thing. And so the guy was doing like the automated, shopping, where he was filling up his cart for the people outside. And so he turns and he looks at me. He's like, thank you. Because he asked me to move over. And he was like, you're amazing. And then he winked, right? And so I'm like, oh, that's a star man talking through him, because that's what happens. So, yeah. Beautiful. What did you guys say? Oh, Victoria, see, you couldn't stop from crying, honey. That's because there's emotions there that need to be healed. And so that goes right back to the original question. The cycle's repeating and you don't know how to break the cycle. See how you're crying? Now, let me tell each and every one of you, I cry. I'm not ashamed to admit it. I will cry. I cry alone, though. I don't cry in front of anybody. But when I cry, I realize the tears are salt water. Now, salt water cleanses and purifies your emotion grids. And so imagine that you have an emotion that's too strong for your physical form. If you did imprint that emotion, it would make it really sick very rapidly. And so your body's like, we can't store all this. So it triggers you to cry because it's releasing. But then it gets a lot easier. So you're never going to experience that level of emotion again once you cry over it once. It gets better, even if it's a millimeter better. It gets a little bit better each and every time you cry it out. And so that's part of releasing the emotions. So when we have something like that, where it's cyclic, we would dive into the topic. I would pull off the attachments, because many times that cycle starts when you're children. Many people don't realize this, but think about it with your father. Not saying that that's related to you, but many times we tell our daughters, you're probably going to find someone who treats you just like your father. Right. And that's it. I know I did. I found someone identical to my dad in so many ways, even though there was slight differences, but they were very, very identical. And, it's a frequency. So your father or your mother, your parent, is encoding you with experientials. That's encoding your frequency grids. And so then when you turn into an adult, the cycles repeat. So those frequencies, you either throw boundary rings and you vow to never experience them. So say over cluttering. I know people who their mother was like a pack rat. And then when they turned into an adult and they bought their house, they were like, I will never clutter up my house. And so they threw a boundary ring to ensure that experience did not manifest for them. Those people are actually breaking the karmic cycle for the entire lineage. So high five to you guys, right? Anytime that we break a cycle or we heal something, high five to you, because we've healed it. We've changed the energetic grids. We now, in changing your energetics, it ricochets into your kids. And so when you change, I noticed this because my kids had certain cycles pop up that I automatically identified from my childhood. And I was like, don't you dare. And I nipped it in the bud. And then that cycle disappeared from them. And so what was that, though? That was a boundary ring. You're not allowed to do that. And that was a wrap. It was over. So when we start throwing these boundaries up, it's of high value to each and every one of us, because it makes drastic impact changes. So, yeah. Hi, lovely. Amazing. That's my boy. Martha, welcome. Okay, so let me see. So we have, let me take a sip. How's everyone doing tonight? It's an amazing night, right? I feel like it's been 10 minutes, it's been 40. I know I say that every night. It's just amazing. Okay. Changing your magnetics to change the timelines and having it stunted by technology. So we think about our magnetic grids. That's controlled by your emotions. So what is a magnet? We see magnets, certain crystals can be magnetic, for an example, right? And so we have the earth has a magnetic grid. Now they're doing sonar technology in the ocean, which is the reason why we saw whales beaching up on the shore. That's not normal. We also saw dead fish. Long Island out in Riverhead, they have Plum Island out there. They also do sonar and all sorts of technology and experiments in the water that we're just unaware of. And then we're seeing it's changing the magnetics in the oceanic life. Now, if we magnetically draw in our timeline, how is the technology having an impact on us? And so this needs to be addressed, because let's take the TV for an example. Now, your TV is pushing different electronic signals as well as magnetic frequencies because it happens automatically. Your outlets, let's say you have the outlet where you plug in the electricity, it's radiating different frequencies. We just use the word frequency, but it's electrical magnetism. It's all the same thing. And so when it's giving off a frequency, it causes incoherence. And so when we know all this information, then we have to be very selective. Now, when you guys are sleeping, if you can try and have zero technology in the bedroom, zero lights, turn off all the power. If you can even shut the cable off and turn the electricity off in the entire bedroom, just try it. Try it for a week. I know it's hard to do because you might try it and then give up, right? So many times I do that too, right? I try it and I'm like, oh, this is wonderful. And then I get lazy with it and I shut it off, right? But then I try it again. And so, but trying and failing is better than never trying at all, because you see the way it makes you feel. Some people may have electrical magnetism allergic reactions, to start people are saying. So you may not even know that you feel run down and tired because you're not getting a good night's sleep because you have an alarm clock next to your head. Not only that, but even sleeping with an alarm clock, woo, when that alarm clock goes off, it like scares me out of sleep. That's not healthy at all. And so you really want to choose a nice gradual tone that slowly wakes you up. And they even say like the repeat snooze is not healthy for us. So when you repeatedly snooze, I was doing that all the time at one point. They were like, this is not healthy. Just don't do it. Just gradually and set the thing far away from your bed. Now, we know about the technology giving off frequencies. Everyone knows the cell phone causes cancer. You know, it's like, imagine the radiation field of the cell phone is this big. The second you plug it in, it's times 10. So, I mean, for how many years I was plugging it in, leaving it next to my head, not realizing it was causing, and it's a very slight anxiety. So, like a normal person, you would never notice it, especially I was drinking all the caffeine, right? I never noticed anything. I thought I slept like a rock. But when you have it and then you stop doing it, it's like, oh, this is that piece that they were trying to tell me about years and years ago, right? Can I ask what will happen with 5G towers? I looked yesterday at the world map of 5G and it's awful. Will the star people help disarm them? They make me sick. This is Faya. Hey, babe. So, yes. Well, the 5G towers, there's already a timeline in which they were dismantled. And so we're not going to cause fear. In my reality, they were already dismantled. And so the 5G towers, you can tell 5G is not healthy. Now, let me explain what the tower is. We have a regular cell phone tower and a 5G tower. What's the difference in the tower? They just set it to a different frequency range. That's the only difference. Has your internet sped up at all? Have you guys noticed any changes in your cell phone? Has anybody noticed any changes in the cellular service since they put all this 5G nonsense up? Because I haven't, and I don't know a single person who's noticed a difference. The only difference is now we are all asking questions about the radiation. And why did they stick the 5G towers next to the schools? Because I noticed that they put them next to all the schools. And so think about it from this perspective. If the children are going to wake up to the extrasensory abilities, they're going to do it rapidly because their childlike minds are still activated and they're still firing off theta. And so if they stick the 5G next to schools, right, that to me, it just seems a little dark polarity. However, Now, the second that we become aware of something, it's up to us to either disarm it, send it love and light, thank it for the experience, and allow it to transmutate out of the reality. So I want to say, when all the nonsense in the civilization was going on, we started noticing the towers going up. And then we did manifestations to make it so it disarmed them. And then I started seeing reflections on TikTok showing people going up in like the bucket trucks and like ripping the 5G sensors off and putting different sensors on. And so in my reality, I choose to believe that a lot of that 5G has already been disarmed compared to the levels it would have been on. It could be a lot worse. Now, there was also different things going on in the background showing us that 5G was like a zombie apocalypse, right? So, yeah. Okay, so now I'm confused. I'm not sure about the 5G or the electronics anymore because it's been said that all depending on what, yeah, well, that's what I'm getting at. You heard that in a quantum hypnosis, very light beings. It can hurt you if, yeah, it can't hurt you if you don't believe it can. That's what I'm saying to you, right? So in my reality, I seen witnesses or mirror reflections that they were disarming the towers. So in the reality I live in, they're disarmed. Plus, we have it's not a light weapon, it's a light gift. They're saying you can take orgonite. And so the orgonite will actually disarm any negative frequencies because it does something with the DOR, negative ions, and the positive ions. So you take a chunk of orgonite and you got to make it in a cupcake dish so it's black or like camouflage so it blends into the grass. Because the people who do the towers, they've been instructed how to find these things and get rid of them. But it changes the frequency. It basically transmutates it all back to love and light. Now, it's just like the weather, and they're spraying all the nonsense above our heads. We're divine beings. We have the source frequency inside of us. We're connected to every single thing, whether it's good or bad. So when we go outside, we could do different mantras, different meditations. We could pull the source frequency both ways, up and down, connect into the holographic simulation grids or the source frequency grids or the human collective consciousness grids. It's all the same thing. They're all connected. So when we start to do that work, we can radiate a higher frequency, which then changes the weather back to a positive polarity. So even the cell phone towers, if you're constantly focused worrying that they're going to make you sick, you're going to get sick. Some people sleep with the cell phone by their head their entire life and they don't get sick. Right? So some people smoke cigarettes their entire life. They don't get sick. It is what you believe it to be. Now, we can also see, because I think it was China, but there was one gentleman who understood that this is a holographic simulation, and he got nuked. Maybe it was Japan. I think it's probably Japan. Hiroshima. There's star people are saying. So when the nuke came down, he was right there. So he was like, there's the nuke, and here he is. And what he did was he threw his hands up and he said, not today, universe. Nothing in this world can harm me. And then it was hours after, and they found him in a ditch. And so he was sitting in a ditch in a lotus position, meditating, and he did not have any radiation poisoning, and he was not injured. The rest of everything around him had been blown to smithereens. Now, there's also people in this reality who can turn on electricity. So let's say, for an example, they turn on the entire house in the middle of a power outage. Right? There's people who can legitimately do this. There's people who can choose to not be seen on a video camera. And when you're out taking pictures, they will not be seen on a video camera. That's real. All these things are real. They're extrasensory abilities. We're in a holographic simulation. So I personally, now that I'm aware, you have to realize that me personally, the star people guided me to learn the entire conspiracy before I started becoming spiritually evolved or knowledgeable. And so I learned the entire conspiracy, and I made, it wasn't really a mistake. It was an experience. But I had an experience once of speaking in front of a room and telling the room all about the conspiracy, including everything. The entire frequency of the room had shifted from all love and light, let's all hug each other, we're in a spiritual setting, to everybody got scared. I wasn't scared because I know we're all protected. But everyone in the room got scared. And so I choose not to really engage in that material, especially to that degree. I won't do it. It's not even powerful. What's more powerful is us realizing that we can change the outside world that we see. So we have 3 rings above our head. The first ring is your binary codex frequency, which controls your body form. The secondary ring is your location code. So it changes the outside world that you see, as well as any locations on like the TV, on the computer, anywhere that you are actually engaging in is that secondary ring. The third ring is the solar system rings. And so any extraterrestrial species, your multidimensional nature, it's all found in the third ring. We are constantly shifting our internal circumstances, which changes or modification to these three rings, which changes the holographic reflection that we see outside our door. So we are not supposed to be generated by fear. We're not supposed to even worry about it. We are not even like be aware if it's up in your face. So if you have an electrical box in the side of your house and your plants are dying and something's getting sick, you are being called to do something about it. That means that box is not in alignment with who you are in the now moment, because it's causing or generating a distortion in your environment or in yourself. However, if you have an electrical box and nothing is happening and you feel great, right? You just send it love and light. Don't worry about it. Don't stress it. The second that you worry and put panic and stress is the second it causes a reaction in you. And it's all because of your emotions. And so break this down one more time. When we sit down and we eat a plate of food, right? Me and my kids, we were all, in the beginning, it was, thank you, Lord, blah, 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 done. That's not how you do it. You hold the emotion code. Thank you. I am blessed. I am safe. I have this moment to express happiness, joyfulness, wonderness. Now, just imagine when the entire world was going to end, we got to, me personally and my people, we got to such a point where we were like, we're not dead today. Okay. So we got one more day. Let's go have some fun. Right. And so every day we would wake up and we're like, we're not dead today. Let's go have some fun. We never got sick. We were very blessed, very protected, thank God. But we knew people who did get sick. But it changed the way that we think, because then it was, well, we're not going to take this for advantage. We're going to take advantage of today. We're not going to wait. We're not going to waste it. And so when you continuously do that, that's probably because I was talking about something. He said the sound went off for a minute. So, but yeah, you don't want to waste the day. So if you can take today and do something great with it, why wait? After everything that we have just experienced as a whole tribe, as a whole world and a whole planet, I think that nonsense that happened in the civilization, it happened everywhere. It happened to every country. So now we know that, right? We made it. We're alive. So let's count our blessings and let's see what we can make of today. Let's make something wonderful. Let's shine our love and light. Let's help each other. Let's heal each other, right? We need community. We need to be a tribe. We need to be one. And when we start behaving more like one organism, that's really when we can manifest the frequency of unity consciousness. However, by holding any sort of fear, that fear, it radiates. So imagine the star people are saying, take a look at a rotten apple. Fear, it's a lower frequency on your vortex, because everything is a vortex frequency. You either spiral up, so you're climbing to the moon, or you're spiraling down and you're out of control and you're about to get sick, or something is going to happen to you and people start shunning away from you. Your vortex and your frequency, your density level is directly correlated to this. When we hold fear, we're spiraling down. Even if it's only a little, we're still spiraling it down. And so think of that rotten apple. That rotten apple is in a downward spiral because it's starting the decomposition, he's saying. And so it's starting the death cycle of that apple. And so when something is starting the death cycle, it's radiating that death cycle frequency. Or even a sick or illness or depressed people. You hang out with them, you get sick, ill, or depressed. Yes? So when we start hanging out with people who are fearful, right? All of that fear, it radiates onto our energetics and it has an impact on us. Now, let me tell you something. It does not matter if you are having communications with the person. If the person is within a certain vicinity of your energetics, it starts to bleed through. People don't realize that. And when you live in like apartment complexes, let's say you're happy, shiny, everything is working out great for you. And then you move into an apartment complex that's run down, beat up. Your apartment looks great because they remodeled it, so your stuff is perfect. But everyone else's is yuck. And so all that yuck and that location frequency is going to eventually start to affect the way that you're manifesting, even if you don't realize it. And so you could potentially have more anxiety just because you're living in a toxic environment. This is just the way it works. So when we start to realize that, then our location how much peace we have, the technology that we have in our bedroom, specifically where we sleep. We should minimize all of that. If you have to use a lamp, get a salt lamp. I have a big rock salt lamp, right? So at nighttime, I turn that on. And then I also have a lava lamp, and my daughter bought me that for Christmas. She's 9. It was wonderful. So yeah. Does anybody have any questions? Let me see. Love and light, Scott. Welcome. Yeah, let's change the 5D to radiate love and light. That's it. I mean, I had an experience where I was driving. I think I said this on a couple lives. I was driving on a highway. It was the Long Island Expressway, but I was on the service road. And so I did a manifestation to raise the frequency of that location coding. And then all of a sudden, a homeless man showed up. He put up a sign. He said, I'm going to be cleaning. Please keep the area clean. And then people were donating to him. Here's water. Here's food. Here's this. Here's money. Here's garbage bags. Here's gloves. Everyone started pulling together. And so that was just from one prayer or one manifestation, whatever it is that you guys want to call it. It's all the same thing. And if we have that potential, then we just all today, right now, say a quick prayer together. Take a deep breath in. And release. Take a deep breath in. And release. I want each and every one of you guys to just visualize a cell phone tower in your mind. Just visualize sending it so much white love and light, and thanking it for giving us the communication to even have this technological communication today. So thank you, cell phone towers, for being set to a positive polarity. This way it is healthy and beneficial for all people, animals, and plants. Thank you for radiating pure love and bliss down to all individuals who are in your radius. And thank you so much for keeping us all connected as one. So I normally say Amen and Usa, Usa, Usa. Now, Usa is a martial arts word or phrase that means it is done. And Amen, you're sending it to the sun for manifestation. Because all of your manifestations, the thoughts, the electricity, it all goes up to the sun. Because the sun is directly connected into the chi energetics, and it plays a direct role or impact on our consciousness. So that's how I do it. Right now, let's just see what happens. We did a manifestation for weather the other day for love and light and sunshine. Did you guys see sunshine? What did you experience? So, speak it, say it in the comments. What happened? What did you guys experience? Right? The more and more that we start doing group meditations, group manifestations for world peace. Thank you for world peace. Thank you for letting Tate out of jail. That guy on TikTok, I like watching his TikTok sometimes, and they locked him up because he's part of the resistance, right? He's speaking so much truth. So, and I think they locked his brother up. It's crazy. Please ask the star people, how do we change our own frequencies so that targeted energy weapons cannot find us, even if they have our DNA or unique energy signature? And so that one I'm still working on, because I do have, many of you guys know I have the government man. And so he comes, and I swear to God, this is crazy, but I feel him. I know he's here. I've physically seen him the first time he came. He was like a silhouette, and I saw him. It was like a brownish color, but I saw his entire body. And when he lifted his foot to go run out of my room, I saw the bottom of his boots, all the line, and like the logo on it. So I know what I saw, right? You can't make something like that up. You see it, you know what you saw. But now I feel him when he comes. And so he hits me in different areas, and he can pull the thoughts out of my head. It's completely wild. Never in a million years would I have ever thought. But you know what? I trust the process, and I trust the star people. I trust them with my life and my star man. He's always with me. And so, but they tell me you have to experience it, because you have to learn how to fine tune your energetics so that you can control whether he has an impact on you or not. And so in the beginning, you guys probably didn't know, but I was all panicking inside my head, all panicking. And actually, I was on a live with Ali, and at the same exact time, they had muted our mics once before, but they started chaos in her house. And so she started yelling and screaming with her family, right as I'm throwing myself on the floor during the live, because the government man is here beaming this like fear, anxiety into me. It was wild. It's wild. Like, somebody needs to write a book about this. It's crazy. But, and after that, you know what? I was like, I'm not stopping. I'm going to keep going. And so now here I am and I'm keep going. And am I scared of him? No, because I know the star people will help me. But there have been a few, and now I know so much more about the meridians and the ley lines, because apparently you have meridians that go up and down throughout your head, and then they tune straight down your body. They either go into your arm, and then they go straight down, they go down your leg. Well, when he was tuning into someone this time, I felt different teeth. I felt them like pulse, and I'm like, oh, he's messing with my teeth. But then it went down my neck, and and then I was coughing, and it went in my heart. And after the live was over, I had to like take a breather. And then the star people were like, now we're going to do an energetic clearing on you. And so then I would feel the star people pull at that meridian, and they would start to clean the meridian off from all the energy that he just discharged on me. So it's a learning process. And now I know what that meridian feels like. That's valuable, because when you know the emotion codes of how something feels like, now I know what the actual meridian feels like. So if you know what the meridian feels like, now I can sense it or feel it in my session with people. I can sense their meridians, and I can feel which ones are off balance. And then I can start to, it's like sweeping the entire meridian to clean off any density on the meridian. It's a blessing, right? So every single negative thing that happens, you have to see it like a blessing, even if it causes you fear in the now moment. You have to be courageous, and being courage only happens when there is fear present. And so that's, if I could just be a role model for one person, just don't be scared, especially when we're dealing with the government and things like this. Try and use your own intuition, but ask the star people to come and help you to protect yourself, especially if you're working for the light. You guys are doing what I'm doing. If you're doing Reiki healing, if you're being one, you're spreading the message and you're getting this word out to people, just ask the star people for protection. They know who everybody is who watches my lives. They send people down to stand next to you. And not only that, but I said something on the other live, and there was another channel who had an Arcturian who was watching out of her eyes, who heard what I said. And then her group, because each channel has like a team, her team went back and had a meeting with my team. And then all of a sudden, now I know that someone channels the Arcturians is watching my live. So this is real life. Like, this is real. You can't make this stuff up. Like, it's so wild. But yeah, you just don't be scared. Have courageous. Ask your guides, star people, angels to help. The angels now, because of what I just experienced with the attachment releases, they told me that the angels, when you call them in, they stay there. And so after you're doing any type of attachment releases or energetic work where you're calling in the angels, we have to treat them like they're people. It's not even to a degree. The star people are saying you have to treat them like they're people. They're conscious. They're aware. And so thank them for coming, and tell them thank you for leaving when you feel it's appropriate to leave. And so I never knew that we had to do that. I always thought, because of what I was trained in Catholic school, you call in the angel. That's it. He'll fix everything. And then that's it. You walk away. That's not how it works. You got to call them in. They're conscious sentient beings. You thank them, right? Thank you, angels, for coming. Thank you, angels, for being a part of this transmission. And thank you, angels, for guiding and protecting all the people watching this video throughout time and space. And when you start saying things like that, thank you, angels, for you guys can leave as soon as the video is over, right? You set the intention, and now all of a sudden, we can't see them, but that doesn't mean that they're not there, because I was calling in the angels, and hours later, the Arcturians had a medical team doing the clearing on me, and they were like, you never told the angels to go home, and they're still here. Mind blown. Totally mind blown. I had no idea that's how it worked. And also, when you do attachment releases, you have to wash your face. So any hair, let's say we have a little peach fuzz, any hair, your eyelashes, and your hair, this is all an antenna. And so when we're working on discharging the attachments, the energy gets gunked up in all of your hair. And so I did an attachment release, and then later that night, I tried to go to sleep, and it was like my body did not want to go to sleep. I didn't feel anxious. I didn't know it was anxiety, but all of the attachments that were latched onto me was all anxiety attachments. So they had to come and clear them all. So wild, right? It's a learning process. So as I learn, I give you guys the information. Hey, this is what happened to me. So now you guys know you could do it, right? Yeah. So the targeted energy weapons, right? Say a manifestation, call in the angels, call in your guides, call in the star people, and thank them for doing the fine tuning. I'm not saying, because I still feel the government man when he comes. Now, you may feel the energetic weapon hits you, I'm not saying that they're going to completely stop it. Because if you're seeing it, you're sensing it, it's because you're meant to overcome it. And so when you overcome it, you master it, and then you teach other people. Okay, well, you have that? I had that. Here's how you get rid of it. Right? We're supposed to help each other. Okay, let's see. Let me take that. Explain a divine counterpart and their purpose. Does everyone have one, or does it only pertain to certain missions? How are the aqua rays affecting sacral areas of the body currently? Is pathogenesis taking place on Earth now, or is more of it taking place? Let's do one at a time. Let me see. Explain a divine counterpart. Well, opposites attract, and so divine counterparts are basically your magnetic opposites attract. And so this is why we have masculine and feminine, although it's feminine and masculine. It's backwards. The left hand is feminine. And those two attract. But if you take a look at the way your partner is, it's opposite. And so, but the second that two people stand next to one another, it's like the little hands. Imagine your fingers and your pinkies are the hands. It's opposites. And then they attract, and then they make a toroidal field, which is two circles together, which is what your aura field basically looks like. It's a toroidal field. The infinity symbol, right? That infinity sign is actually how your energetic grids work. Although when we see it, it just looks like circular in its nature. And then it's all radiating out of the heart. So the opposites actually fit together as one. So when we attract a mate or a partner, we really have to make sure that the magnetism is properly attuned. Now, there's certain signs and signals and like pheromones and stuff where you could be potentially attracted to many different types of people. We know when we're attracted to someone because we can sense it right away. You can sense it. And just because you are a biological match for someone does not mean that you are an emotional match for someone. So in the future, we are going to be looking for what the star people call a heart chakra pulse. And so when you meet your soulmate, or when you start to, let's say you have that first moment with someone, if your heart, it sends out like a pulse, that's the magnetic. And so you want to really watch for that. Does your heart skip a beat the second that you met someone? If your heart skipped a beat, that means that you're meant to be with that person. Because magnetically, it's in alignment. And that's how that works. So does everyone have one? Everyone has one. Everyone can manifest one. However, not everyone does manifest one. So some people do choose to come into this world and they change their magnetics. They go into solitude and they don't want a partner, or they don't believe that they can have one. Or let's take the geeks for an example. For a very long time, we had geeks on this planet, like computer geeks, right? Like the techie people. And nobody wanted to date them because they looked at them like, oh, that's a computer geek. But then the computer geeks started turning around, making billions of dollars, and then everyone wanted to date them. So we can kind of see how the experience was manifest if you look at the entire timeline. We see something that people thought was a negative, and now people perceive it to be a positive. So that's actually the way every single experience in this lifetime works. You're going to have an experience. You're going to see it from a negative. You're going to see it from a positive. Even if you don't have the experience, it'll be reflected into different people. And so you may perceive it from a positive light, or let's say it's a trauma. So you go through your darkness, and then you're being called to add positivity to the darkness, which it's like that magnetic, right? You're taking positive and light, and boom, now all of a sudden the situation is healed. Every single time that we have an experience in our personal lives, that experience, when we heal it, so you're sending the light to the darkness, it opens up an energetic node on the energetic grid. There's 144 of these different types of nodes that radiates a particular frequency that unlocks into 5D. So this is how, like the monks who go into the caves and they do this intensive shadow work, right? So they go into the memory grid every single day. They're forgiving, they're forgetting, they're holding love, they're holding light. And then all of a sudden they're healing all these different things. And then when it's time and they have released any and all traumas, tragedies, emotions, all this stuff, they let it all go. They're shining their light. They're not worried about anything. And then they open up all these little nodes and poof, they activate the rainbow body of light and they automatically ascend. Sometimes the star people are saying most of the times it's higher than 5D. Rainbow body of light activation it levels you up over 12. So, but not necessarily. He's saying now it depends on the individual soul, because any experience can be manifest. So your soul can choose to go into 5D. It can choose to go into 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. It's all what the independent soul wishes to experience. So yeah, let me see, because it went all the way down. Caroline Stowe, I have a good antenna. Can you meet a divine counterpart in a dream or future time? Yes, absolutely. And so my left ear just started ringing out of nowhere. So that means like a spirit or someone is trying to contact. So divine, and of course, spirit is trying to contact when we're talking about the dream time. So in the dream time, we can actually astral project. We could lucid dream. We can meet each other. So let's say, for example, if I chose to do an astral projection, you're my best friend. You live right next door, or you live across the country and we're best friends. You chose, we were on the phone. Now both of us went into meditation and we both astral projected. Now we're in the astral reality. And so when you're in the astral realms, you can choose to meet up, link, and then have these adventures together. This is all possible. So the dream time is the astral realm. It's just a little bit different. And so when we can make changes, or we can program things that we see, or there's so many different types of abilities that come from the dream time. You can meet your ancestors in the dream time. You can have guided intuitions either coming from the star people or your higher self, or your angels, guides, or many other beings can actually contact you and communicate with you through your dreams. So it's very, very, very important that we become aware of that. So you can meet a divine counterpart. Oh, they're also bringing up, it's like astral babies. And so let's say, for an example, you had a being in the astral realm. You can make the seed and then come back into waking time. And let's say the woman has a pregnancy and there's no child there. And that's because the child is still in the astral realm, but the mother is grounding a piece of the child into the physicality. And so a lot of times, even with there's a lot of information to dive into astral babies and how we can do things like that. And it's totally wild. Women can also have a child without using any type of male. And just imagine for 1 second, a woman's egg, right? And like, not to be graphic, but you have an egg and something gets punctured into that egg and it starts the egg to grow and develop into a child. So now we know that all you have to do is puncture the egg. So what scientists have done is they've taken a woman's egg and they've just punctured it with like a little needle, boop, and then that's it. They didn't put anything inside of it. It was just the egg, just they punctured it. All of a sudden, a baby grew. So there's actually different chemicals inside the human body specifically that can be released that will puncture the egg for you. This is how asexuality starts to go forward. And we actually can access this type of spawning from the astral realm. And so you would pick an astral mate, preferably like your alien husband, and you intercourse during the astral realm. And then all of a sudden you wake up and you're pregnant. But the egg, because it's only coming from the female, it gets punctured by whatever physical chemical that you have in your body, punctures the egg. And now it can only be a girl. It will never be a boy. And that girl can only reproduce in the astral realms with her mate. So it's like, we can do it, but if you wanted to have only women on a planet, this is the way to get that done. Thank you for answering my questions without reading them. Thank you. Thank you for asking questions. I hope I get everyone's question. I try. There's just so many. Can you seed children for future timelines? Well, of course you can. You're made up of divine stardust. You can do anything that you put your mind to. I want you just to imagine that you're in a simulation. Like, so imagine that we put this magic goggles on and the heads, and we put a bodysuit on so we feel like we're plugged into a computer. Just imagine it, right? So we come out here and we clickety-clack and program the computer for what we want to experience. Then we get into the jumpsuit and we get plugged in and we go into the computer. It's like the Matrix. And so when you learn how to clickety-clack and go to the computer software, you're going to be adjusting what you see in your simulation. This is how the dream time works, because you can go into the dream and you can program whatever it is that you want to experience. I remember, because I've done this on accident a couple of times. And so I was walking in a supermarket and I was picking civilization experiences that looked like a box, like a cereal box. And I was throwing it into the shopping cart of things I wanted to experience. This was the dream I had. Then when I woke up, all of a sudden it was in my face. Everything that I had put into the shopping cart was boom, boom, boom. It all came in that day. And I was like, oh, and then I started having the download come through about the dream walking ability. So a lot of times when I put these posts out, it always goes like this. I have to see it. And then something happens. And then all of a sudden, wham, here's a download. Or I'm always asking questions. Oh, I just got into a fight with this person. What does this mean? Why did this happen? And then wham, here's download. And it always turns out to be information that everybody needs. So I'm like, I go through these things and these problems, and then it turns into a post, or it turns into something, or all this information comes through, and it ends up helping a whole lot of people. So do I look at like little things that happen to me as something of, I look at everything like it's a blessing. I mean, you asked them already. What? Okay. I was just thinking about that recently. I don't know what parthenogenesis is. I'm not sure. Can you see children? My right ear was ringing last night, and someone gave instructions. See, the right ear is normally the physical world. So if someone in a physical body is talking about you, your right ear will be ringing. And so that's how I know. And not only that, but there's an energetic transference. So let's say, for example, you have a plant. I have a plant right by my bedside. And so if one of the leaves turns yellow, I know that someone is casting negativity at me. That's the way this works. The plants, they blend with your energetics, and they become solidified with you, with your energetic grid. And so they always take the hit before you do. So your house will always take the hit before your physical body does. Your car will take the hit before your physical body was. Things like this. This is just an energy transference. The house, the car, all this stuff, it's all made of the same exact material. It's all made of ether, which is your energetic grid. The frequency that you hold on the internal circumstances radiates out, and it changes all this stuff. So your animals take the hit for you. Many times you'll see an animal and it reflects the injury or disease or distortion that the owner has. The plant, if you notice your plants are all dying, it means someone is casting negativity at you. You need to put your wards up. Your wards can be taking crystals. And I walk around my entire house. I don't do it all the time. It's very rare, but I do it, especially when I feel the need to do it. I always follow my intuition on things. And so I go around the entire house and I bless the house. Thank you, Lord. I call on angels. Thank you, angels, for guiding my house, protecting my house. Thank you for making sure. Now, some people, they put candles in the windows. And so back in the day, it used to be a real candle, a real burning piece of fire, because fire is connected into the chi energetics. And so now we're using electricity. Electricity can be a lower frequency than an actual fire, but we don't want to burn our houses down, and we don't want soot on our walls. So we do what we could do. But this is where that whole thing where people stuck candles in all the windows, because a window, they perceived it as something that goes in and out of your home, right? You can open up, you can let the outside in, and the doors. And so when you start sticking the element of fire there, it changes, because now you're protected against that negativity coming in. Things like this were done. The Jewish people, they have that little thing that goes in the door, and that protects against evil people walking in. Now we have stories of vampires and people hanging garlic by their doors to keep the vampires out. What's a vampire? Is it an attachment? Is it an energetic vampire, right? Is this some type of like mythology, or are there actual vampires? All these questions need to be asked, because vampirism is another virus. And so they did found skeletons with bones, and the canines were extra long, and they buried them in such a way where they put them in the ground, put them in a coffin, and then they put this ginormous concrete slab over the top. So what the hell were they trying to keep in the ground that you had to put a ginormous concrete slab? Wild, right? And the giants are real. Now, people are starting to show photos of the rock people. So where have we seen the rock people before? Who's ever seen the Never-Ending Story? Remember, they had the rock biters? Who would you ever imagine that was real in a million years? But if we have extrasensory abilities and we're starting to activate this higher frequency onto Earth, magic is real. Now they said that you can breathe life into items. So imagine breathing life into the pen and having the pen write down everything like a universal translator, but it's dictating your notes. We can do these things in 5D, you know. It's all real. And so if we can breathe life into a pen, why can't we breathe life into a rock? It's all made of ether. It's all connected to us. We're source frequency. We're connected to God. All that stuff is true. And so I know it just seems so out of the box, but now they found rock people, but their face, they look like a rock and they look like they're part of the Earth's landscape. However, when the magicians wake up on the planet and we raise our frequency into 5D, we're going to have shapeshifter abilities. So we could change our hair color, change what we look like, instantaneously heal. We're going to be able to not only instantaneously teleport, but telekinesis. So you can start to levitate items by using the power of your mind. It's all mind over matter. But now imagine, what would you do? Wouldn't you turn the rocks on so that you can meet these people and see, hey, do you remember what you were like during the last golden age or golden race? It really is your creative mind expanding, because anything that you can think of, it turns on the simulation. And so imagine that you are plugged into a computer simulation and the sky is the limit. Whatever it is that you wish to manifest will be manifest in the simulation. You know this because it's just a computer program. It's okay. You can do it. You clickety-clack, you turn it on, and that's a wrap. So we're starting to see the signs of rock people being here a long time ago, but they're still here. It's like the rocks laid down, and when they lowered in frequency or the frequency of the planet dropped, they solidified into the landscape. So we're seeing like the silhouettes of what they look like. Now, just imagine if they're starting to wake up. We are in the age of Aquarius, which means we are starting the golden age. We're in it. That's a wrap. It's slam dunk. We made it. We survived the apocalypse. They tried to zombie virus us. They tried to do all this stuff with the 5G towers, all that nonsense, right? Anyone who's seen the Georgia Guidestone knows that. They tried all that. They failed. They keep failing. They can't win because now we're already in a golden age. So what are we waiting for? Now we're just finishing up the remaining little bits of our shadow work. Anyone holding on to any density or distortion that needs to be released, it's time to release it. We don't need that anymore. We don't need the darkness. We need to be into a light encoded simulation where our creativity can run wild, where we release any and all fear, because we know the fear is an illusion, because fear can only exist in a physical world in which you fear for your life. In a 5D world, you don't fear for your life because you know that if you're about to jump off a cliff, the cloud will catch you because you're in a simulation. But it's real because it just is. It's the way the simulation works. Now, just imagine the source frequency. Now, some people have had near-death experiences, and the near-death experiences, they've come back talking about, oh, I had a conversation with God, which is a source frequency. It's a frequency wave. And so when they have that, then they come back and they tell us about it. It's like, hey, everything up there is wonderful. It's bliss. It's peace. It's magical. They have all this stuff they can instantaneously manifest. But yet we fractalize our soul. We come down into the 3D to go through all this trauma, all this density. So why? So we learn how to be love and light again. We learn how to walk through all the darkness, make ourselves strong, right? And we learn so much by going through the pain. And it's really the journey that counts, because when we're done in this world, we go back up to the heaven where everything is Gucci, right? We don't have a single problem, a single care in the world. We can manifest whatever we want. But how long until we get bored? How long, when you have everything, just imagine you have everything that you want, everything that you need. You've created everything. What else is there for you to do but experience pain and drop down into a physical reality? Right? And so we keep doing this dance, and this dance goes with the past and present lifetimes, so the reincarnation process. And so just imagine that that's a frequency wave. You're going through multiple lifetimes. Well, eventually you won't have to have the pain anymore because you'll be holding so much love and light. It will level you up into the next octave range. And in that octave range, the physics changes. So you start a whole new cycle. And so all those lifetimes, it remanifests instantaneously in that octave because it's all a reflection. and you start the process of awakening and sleeping all over again. So this process of awakening and sleeping is known as yuga cycles. So we go through these yuga cycles in which we go through the dark ages, the bronze ages, the silver, the copper. And now we're in the golden, right? We're in the golden age. That's what the age of Aquarius is. And so when we know this, it's giving us peace because we know we made it. We're already in the age of the golden race. And so now what do we have to do to fully ground that energy into the human consciousness grid? We have to release our traumas, release our fears, and we have to shine as much love and light as we possibly can, setting the example, the tone, or even allowing your heart synchronization to radiate with all the people around you, just like being in the apartment complex. And so when you meditate, you lower your heart rate and you become in peace and cohesion. Your heart rate, it starts to resonate with all of the people around you's heart rate. And so their heart rate starts to tick-tock according to your heart rate. That's how human beings work. So if we have one meditator who's in a crowded field with 1,000 people and everyone is yelling and screaming, if that meditator drops into a meditation and starts, and they start doing that, then all of a sudden the resonance, the excitement, and the energy flowing inside all of the other people, it starts to slow and then match the resonance of the meditator. And when you guys meditate, it reduces crime. We reduce traffic violations, not traffic violations. We reduce like tragedy, density, crimes, people getting hurt, all of these things, arguments, all of these things reduce because one person meditated. Now, they've shown that you can stop World War II by having like 10,000 meditators. You can change the frequency of the ocean back to love and light. So now we're talking about we need to have a global meditation where we blast it like the news. You know how the news is pumping all that negativity? Humanity needs to take control of the news because then we could broadcast the meditation. Hey, we're going to meditate for world peace. Hey, we want everyone to be fed. We want everyone to have a house. We want everyone to shine light and love and be compassionate and understand that when a person comes up to you and is yelling and screaming, especially if it's over something like race or something that they've been programmed on the news, right? We got to have compassion for them because they are perceiving their reality because they've been programmed. And so what do? It's okay. I understand. And I love you. And I will totally understand if you want to hate me because of the way that you see your world, but I'm still going to love you. That's what I'm going to do. I'm going to do it every single time. And guess what? When you respond to any hatred and anger with pure love, and it's unrestricted, it's unconditional love. I love you no matter what. I'll hug a bum. I have no problem. I've done it before. And so, but when you stop seeing them as bums and homeless people, and you start seeing them as divine beings who just need a chance to evolve above the frequency that they're in, and we should really send them our utmost respect because without them walking the path of darkness, we wouldn't be allowed to raise in consciousness without every single experience of darkness becoming manifest. So this is another reason why many of the starseeds have walked through all of this trauma, all of this tragedy. It's because we needed every single experience. It all had to be checked off and it all had to be healed. So they sent in us. And this is what we do. This is why many of us have walked through so much darkness. And many of us find it very easy to go check. And it's like, I forgive you. I forgive. I love you. Love and light. Right. And so we do this. Sometimes we do struggle with things. That's normal too. No one has to be perfect. It's just the fact that you showed up. Right. And so think about the coach of a basketball team. He doesn't have to be perfect, but he shows up all the time and he's consistent because he cares. That's what you are being asked to do. And so perfection actually lies in the imperfection. We're all perfect because we're all different. Now, when you're up to 5D, everyone becomes perfect because everyone wants to look beautiful. And so we stop seeing distortions in the bodies. Everyone becomes healed. Everyone becomes healthy. Your lifeline, your lifetime goes from 120 years now we can get, and it goes up to 1,000 or more. And so you don't ever have to die again. If you play your cards right, you open up to love and light, it's possible in this lifetime to achieve this. Whether you use the manifestation of technology or you manifest it through spiritual means. It doesn't matter. It's all a manifestation in a holographic simulation. So the second that we start sending that plant love, that plant starts to grow tenfold. We're being called to throw that love into every single aspect of our life. But we start with our bodies first, because especially with the fight or flight and the isolation, many starseeds go into isolation. So make a list each day. What's one thing I could do to bring a smile to my face? Can I spend some time in nature? Can I just get out and get a little bit of air? When the springtime comes, what do? We open up the windows, we let the fresh air in, we cleanse, we purify, all that stuff, right? And so when we start to treat our bodies like that, how can I detoxify? Can I go on a detox for a week? Can I fast for a couple of days, maybe 2 or 3 days, right? Jumpstart the system. And can I pick and choose my water so I'm getting the best water? Or even if I don't have money, let's say I'm drinking tap water and I live in somewhere. Can I take the water? Can I hold it up to my heart? And can I infuse so much love-based emotion? And can I do this multiple times? So I'm going to take this water and I'm going to program it 5-10 times a day. So even if the water runs out, I'm going to keep filling it up and keep blessing it 10, 11, 12 times a day. Now, let me tell you something. When you have multiple people bless the water, oh man, I got it wet. Shoot. I know I cursed. Okay, I just remembered my book. When you have multiple people blessing the water, it's amazing what actually happens, because when 3 or more people come in and they all infuse it with that open heart energetic, it actually raises the frequency so fast in the water, it changes the tone. And so if you guys ever wanted to heal someone, it generates a vortex energetic in the water, but you can program different programs into the water. The programs make a sacred geometric snowflake at the subatomic levels, which then when somebody drinks it, you're actually filling their subatomic water levels with that emotion code or that frequency range. And so if you wanted to heal somebody very rapidly, take the case of water and start thanking it for healing whoever drinks it. Do it every day. Do it like a mantra. You could do it remotely. So you can take the bottle of water with you and you can pray over the entire case of water just by visually seeing it. So thank you for blessing the entire case of water. I love and bless your water. Thank you for making the person who drinks any of your water in the entire cases clean, healthy, pure. Thank you for allowing it to heal them. Thank you for allowing it to clean their emotion grids so that they rebalance back to love and light, right? These are the things that we're going to start doing, because what are we doing? We are actually changing the frequency inside of us by speaking, by embodying those emotion codes. When we change our frequency, we're changing the frequency that radiates out. And when it comes back in, it's actually changing the holographic simulation. Because the way that the frequency works, it comes down, it radiates out, and then it comes back in. When it radiates out, it's circular in its nature. When that frequency, your soul, right, when it comes back in, it forms the sacred geometry snowflake. This is what makes the physical reality seem physical. It's all a light wave. This is physics. So when it radiates back up, now all of a sudden, if you can make a change or modification to the frequency flowing through you, how do you do it? You pray. I love and bless my body. I love and bless whatever you see on the outside. Then all of a sudden it changes frequency, which changes your perception of the physical reality. And so if you want to heal 1 million people, bless the water, because the water will get the job done. Yeah, beautiful. I can't believe I spilled water. Somebody needs to set up a meditation channel 24/7. Absolutely. Will going to a different location codes activate our dormant gifts and abilities held in the locations? Yes. And you take a look at, what's the name of the place? There's different location codes on the planet. They're saying there's many of them. So certain mountains contain high frequency, as well as certain rock geology formations, which contain vortex energy spots. There's different chakras as well on the planet. So we take a look at Tibet. Tibet is very spiritual in its nature. That was the purple eye chakra that was being activated. That chakra system kind of looks like a snake, and it's all moving now. So the magnetic grids we know are moving. The chakra system is the chi energetics, or the electrical system, the vortex, which the Schumann resonance, that makes sense now that he's saying it. the vortex or the Schumann resonance, it spirals up in a vortex. And so the sun beats down, straight lines, generates the vortex. We have the circle and the square. But now the chi energetics is flowing like a vortex. It's moving. So we see different locations. I believe Hawaii was the heart chakra. So people there have reported that when you're on the plane and you get close to Hawaii, everyone's tone on the airplane changes. They all start singing, and Hawaii's, all the stuff comes out. Like everyone becomes happier because we're almost there. So it's absolutely amazing. Yes, we are all gifts to one another. Each and every person that you have an interaction with is an opportunity for you to shine your love and light on that person. I never in a million years would have ever thought I would be preaching love and light. But now that I know the science and I understand the way the universe works, when you shine your love and light, you get it back tenfold. And you get it back because what happens when you do good things for other people? It warms your heart. The more and more you can warm your heart, the more and more healthier you're going to become. And so I've even noticed in my life, doing things for other people has always brought me the most amount of joy. It's never been money. It's never been riding on a roller coaster. It's never been. It's when someone needs my help, I show up. I'm there for them. That is what makes me feel good inside. And yeah, it's a blessing to really be able to experience. Yeah. Everyone should try it, right? Do something great for somebody and then come back at me and tell me what you did. So we're going to do one more question. ADD and time-space perception and the focus on the timelines and the instantaneous shifts. So people with ADD, now this is really important because I never knew that I'm not diagnosed with ADD, but TikTok diagnosed me because they kept sending me infomercials. So they probably know something I don't. But I've had some commenters on Facebook come back and they're like, you're totally ADD because you put 1,000 exclamation points. And it totally makes sense now that I started. It bombarded me on all the social media platforms. The second that people started saying it in the messages and stuff, it was like I was getting advertisements left and right. Well, then I had an ADD download come through. So once again, this is one of those things where, I walk through something and then it turns into a download and then it helps a bunch of people. It's okay. That's my life. I signed up, right? But now I recognize that ADD is technically, it's a blessing because it's just, you're seeing through time and space way differently. And so when I wake up in the morning, it flows just like this. It's been an hour and 36 minutes we've been on the live. For me, it's maybe 20, 25 minutes. I feel like we just turned on the live. Maybe we had a quick phone call, and now that's it. It doesn't feel like an hour and 36 minutes for me. It feels very rapid. And so, but ADD is seeing the world in time and space now, and then now, and then now. And so the way it was explained through, all the advertisements that hit me was more like, you could tell someone with ADD that in 30 minutes you had to go, but the only thing that they heard was not right now. So they're focused in the now moment. Now that's a common starseed trait. So now the star people step up and they started saying many starseeds they all have different levels of the ADD. Depending on that vortex frequency of density that you're holding, are you really happy or are you really sad or are you somewhere in the middle? That's going to depend. It's going to change the level of the focus. And so you could be focused in this moment. Your entire day could fly by. That's when you're focused in you're very happy all day. Or it could mess you up. And so let's say you're trying to focus on one thing and then another, you're in a lower density level. And so it trips you up because then you can't keep track of your stuff and nothing is flowing correctly because you're not in alignment. You're not in the higher frequency. So everything should be like, bam, chicka, bam, chicka, bam. It's all done. So when you wake up in the morning, you have things you have to get done. And it's like, if it goes super fast and all that stuff gets done, and then you're still having time to like laugh and joke and play and have fun, that's how you know you're in a high density level. So the second you're in a low density level with that zone of focus, which many starseeds have, many people watching this have. So when you're in the lower focus, it can throw you off because it leads to thought attachments. See, it makes a lot of sense. I'm kind of like that. And my youngest son has ADD. Yeah, it's a blessing and it should not be medicated. Instead, I'm not a doctor. I'm a stay-at-home mom. I personally do not believe in pharmaceuticals. However, sometimes they help people, especially if they're going to jump off a cliff or something crazy. So I can't start people correcting me. We can't tell people not to take medicine. That's up to you guys. However, if you can figure out a way to raise your biological frequency, if you can figure out a plant substitute like kava kava, calms the body. Anyone having anxiety attack, figure out kava kava. You can get a bag on Amazon, right? You have to put it and soak it in hot water, and then you strain it. So it's got to be a cheesecloth. But when you drink it, it calms and relaxes your body. So there's different plants out there that can do different things for us. It's all a frequency. So whatever it is that you have to call upon the herbal community for is what you call upon it for. But you should always, or you shouldn't, you should take your own advice. But I would personally look for a plant first before diving into a chemical. So that's just because I know about side effects, and side effects are crazy. And I love you guys. I don't want to see anyone. A lot of the medicine, I have to say this, a lot of the medicine shuts down your pineal gland. And so we take a look at aspartame, which is in the diet soda. Or there's a bunch of other ones, but then all of a sudden you're seeing the same chemicals in like the amoxicillin. So why are they putting that heavy duty chemical in there? Or fluoride, right? So what does fluoride do? It shuts off your pineal gland. So it changes the way that you manifest into the physical reality, because they don't want you to ascend and evolve. They want to maintain the 3D. So they try and cap you with the chemicals. So becoming aware of this, right? We send it love and light. It's okay. It's an experience. We love and bless you, right? Thank you, universe, for the experience of keeping us trapped in a 3D reality. And thank you for letting the majority of us overcome that system. And the second that enough of us overcome it is the second that that system is removed from our world, because then all of a sudden everyone becomes awake. And when everyone is awake, it's like we're going to demand something more. And this is what we see happening. Actually, we have people putting in frequency or med beds that are frequency beds. And so I'm not saying that it can completely regrow your arm, but people have supposedly gone into these med beds with cancers or tumors or going to die. And then all of a sudden they're coming out and they're healed to a degree. So it's the beginning stages of the high technology fully manifesting into our world. So there's plenty to be happy and excited for. I don't believe in medications, but in quantum hypnosis with Alba Weinman, we met an aspect of Archangel Metatron. And he had said he needs that medicine for now to finish her rock school. Yeah. So some people need it, right? And so you never want to tell people not to take medicine, because what if they're on like depression medicine? And what if they don't have a clean diet? They're not willing to make those steps yet. So then they have to be on medicine, right? We don't want to get sued. And not only that, but I don't want you guys, forget about getting sued. If you hear me saying it and then you say it to someone and then that person gets hurt or takes their life or something, we don't want none of that stuff to happen. So if you're, if you guys need to be on medicine, be on it. Yeah. I just want everyone to ascend and like be wonderful and happy. And I'm one of those optimistic people. So I believe that we can all heal because I've done it. But I also have a very strong mind. And so when I flip the light switch in my head that tells me I'm done with something, I'm done with it for good. So everyone has a different sense of willpower. Not everyone can just put something down and say, I'm done, and walk away from it. A lot of times we have that pull to go back to it, like the coffee. You have that pull to, okay, it's just one cup. I could just do one. Or maybe 2 weeks goes by. We stopped drinking chocolate for 2 weeks, right? And so what about that pull? Did it get you to go back to eating chocolate every day, right? So some people aren't as black and white, like, no, I just can't do it. I'm done. So you have to know your own limitations and your own belief systems. But not only that, that's all the fun too, is learning about your belief systems and what you guys are capable of doing. And not only that, but how to push your beliefs to the max. And so even the TV show Survivor, we'll take that as an example. So those people, they didn't really know what they were capable of doing until they got on the island and they were like, we have no choice. We have to catch the snake and eat the snake, or get the chicken and get the eggs. And right, they had to do all this crazy stuff. But you'll never know what you're truly capable of doing until you push yourself to the limit and actually do it. That's the beautiful thing about being human too, is that we learn our limitations through going through these trials and traumas and tribulations. Yeah. We love you so much, Neil. Thank you. Thank you, Caroline. Yes. Yeah, I think you guys can all heal yourself. And, it's a baby step process. I'm 3 years in. Actually, I'm 4. I got 4 years. So 4 years in for healing my dark night of the soul. And so if I could do it, you guys can do it. There's no reason. I mean, I was in bed, bedridden, crippled, couldn't walk. My hip had shifted. My spine was a mess, right? And so I'm not saying that I never get any pain. Some of the zodiac shifts came and I felt a little bit of pain. I felt stiff, but you know what I did right away? I knew what to do. I had to send it love and light. It was a cycle repeat. So the cycle, sometimes they'll sneak back up and they'll repeat. Send it love and light. We do some crystal therapy, right? We salt water bathe ourselves. We cleanse. Thank you for the experience. I changed my emotions, right? This is my starman. He makes me laugh all day long. And so we just laugh about it. We dance. I play hacky sack. So we hacky sack, right? We try. When you're, this is another thing. When you're taking an item from one hand into the next hand. And so I found myself doing this all day with the hacky sack. When you do that, you're actually activating different brain hemispheres, and it's causing a synchronization thing to occur in the brainwaves. Who knew, right? And so don't children do this naturally? They're doing this all day long with the balls and the balance beam and the wobbles and all this stuff. And so even as adults, we stop doing these things, because we're adults now, right? But we're actually supposed to continue to play the way children play. And so when we continue to play and bounce around like this, and even just by taking one bolt from one hand to the other, it's activating different things inside our body, which brings us more joy and creative abilities, as well as creative energy, is what the star people are saying. So yeah, it's just a blessing. Did a saltwater shower yesterday. Never did a shower, only bath. See, very good. They have different like body soaps and stuff that have salt in it. Or you can even take a tiny bit of salt water and mix it into your current body lotion, just a tiny bit, just to get the flavor, not even the flavor, but just to get a tiny bit of the salt in. See, it's the same reason as we cry salt water, right? And the salt water cleanses and pures the emotions. So we cry because of emotions. Salt water clears the emotions. Salt water is inside our entire physical form. So our electrolytes are salts. They're minerals. That's what the word electrolyte means. So whenever we see a bottle that they want to sell us, and it's a electrolyte, it just means that they put salts in it. Baking soda balances your pH level, right? So yeah, beautiful. Okay, so Saturday, 5 p.m. is the next live. And so it's going to be a very, very short live. I'm probably just going to touch on, see how you guys are holding up there. And then the attachment class is on Saturday at 3 p.m. and 6 p.m. So I wouldn't wait much longer because the classes are filling up. At a certain point, I'm going to cut off the sales of the times on the class. So I like to keep my classes short. This way people can ask questions at the end if they like questions, whatever. And so the attachment class, it's going to be intense. And so we have a box of tissues ready. Some people may cry. Have some crystals handy, whatever makes you feel comfortable. If you have to have a teddy bear, have a teddy bear. But we're going to be diving into the emotions. If anyone has been stuck or trapped, or let's say you hit a spiritual level in which you couldn't go any higher, you may have attachments on your energetic grids. Now I could feel the meridians too, so I know how to clear those. And when we start going into the attachments trigger the emotions. They can trigger different thoughts. They push thoughts inside of our mind, but they can also trigger experientials. And so let's say you keep having the same experience over and over and over again, and you don't know why it's happening. It could potentially be because of an attachment triggering that experiential to come around. So when we start to clear the attachments, your whole life changes. Now, what does it feel like after you do a full attachment clearing? I'll tell you right now, your energetics, the only way to describe it, and I've heard it from like 6 or 7 people at this point, it feels very clean. And so imagine electricity. Imagine a battery, and one of your terminals has a rust on it. And so you're not getting a full charge on your iPhone by using that battery. So what do you have to do? You have to clean that battery, pour it off, get rid of all the rust. And now all of a sudden, when you plug it in, your iPhone charges right away because it's clean energy going. Well, that's what cleaning the attachments off our energetic grid does for us. It makes us clean. And when your energetics are clean, all of a sudden your frequency goes right up. You have more energy, and it makes you feel so much better. So when I spent 4 days cleaning all my attachments, and after the 4 days, I had super energy. However, after we clear all of the attachments, which isn't going to happen in an hour, it's just not going to work that way. It's a process. But the second that you guys know how to do it, you can start doing it yourself. You could do it a little over time. And when you start doing it, though, you're going to start to feel lighter, better, more like yourself. It's very important because a lot of times we go through traumas and then we can get to such a point where we don't feel like ourselves anymore. We feel like someone else. And so, when you start to clear these things off, can we just say all attachments attached to my energetic grid, get off, go home? No, we cannot. When I first started, I thought that that's the way it worked. And I was like, no, you could just wipe them all off in one shot. And they were like, no, you have to know the emotion. You have to either know the emotion. You can get a visual. So I could see them. I know what their faces look like, depending on which attachment it is. Or you have to get the memory that it's associated with, or the location on the body. So let's say, do you feel any attachments on you? If your neck fires off and you have a feeling in your neck, there's an attachment in your neck. So we're going to say that feeling, whatever feeling that is in my neck, get off, go home. And then it will cast off of you. And so that's how we get that done. But it's a little deeper. And actually, I started writing pages of attachment names. So I have about 10 pages, 11 pages of all the different names and emotion codes. And these aren't even the experiential attachments, because that one's like infinitive. For every single experience, there's an attachment. These are only the emotion code attachments. And so when we start to learn their names, we start to cast them off. And then we go through, we send it love and light to the entire energetic grid, healing all of the paper cuts so that they cannot latch on. All of the hair needs to be washed after you do an attachment release, including the eyebrows, any hair on the face. Well, that's how they latch on, right? They go through your consciousness like wild. So, yeah. I had that rockabye stuck to me a couple weeks. Weird. Yeah. So, yeah, we're going to do the attachment class on Saturday, 3 p.m. and 6. We are still doing the crystal package. So we actually got a bunch of Andara crystals in. Now, these are there. It's amazing. It's just an amazing crystal. Now, when I first saw it, I was like, oh, it looks like glass, right? And then I had I went into meditation. I had a whole conversation with my starman about it. He was like, no, these are gifted from extraterrestrials. And so a lot of times, because it looks like glass, but they're saying it's buried in rocks. And so it's there and they're different colors and you hold them. And so we have a ginormous donation come in. So anybody from this moment on who orders a crystal package, you guys are going to get a piece of that. And so they're really beautiful. I love them. I sat with them. I held them. I blessed them. Right. So we do. Yeah. Andaras. Let me just show you. Right. Hold on. Okay. See, finally somebody knows. I had no idea what this was. Right. And so there's different types. Like this one is green. And they're just like, it's very peaceful holding them. We have these blue ones, right? I've never heard of these until they sent them in. And then I felt like I was looking at glass and I was like, what am I seeing? And then the starman, he's like, no, that's a gift. He's like, it's actually from the extraterrestrials. It's only found on top of the mountain. And they like helped to manifest the crystal to like help us or something. He's like, it changes your DNA and it starts to activate. And then we have big blue pieces. This one is blue. I don't know if you guys can see it. Tried. But yeah, she sent a whole, it's just like a whole jar. It's wild. So anyone who gets a crystal package, and I'm going to pick the biggest ones first. So, you guys get a nice big piece. And then I wrap it pretty. And I also am going to put mine. So my entire crystal collection, I want to donate. So it's going into the crystal package. So when you order a crystal box from us, you're going to get a jam pack full of so many crystals. You're going to be like, oh my God, this woman filled it up. Yeah, that's exactly what I want to do. Because when we give from the heart, right, it makes us feel good. And so I even have some crystal like keychains and stuff that I bought. I believe Melissa sent us some keychains too. So I put some of those in. We have tons of goodies. So yeah. Oh, see, Bashar talks to them. I didn't even know. So yeah, we have a whole jar. It's full. It's beautiful. So there's enough to go around. So anybody who gets a crystal package, you're getting one of those. You're getting the big ones first. So the blue one is connected to Isis. Beautiful. See? Nice. Get a crystal package. Yeah, I'll put them in. Actually, I was doing a crystal, where is it? And that's what fell with the water. People who purchase a full price session will be entered to win a crystal package drawing held on February 1st. And so, but that's whoever buys a session in the next 3 days. So the 26th, 27th, 28th. So 3 days. So, and then we're going to automatically this way, because, you know, it's so funny when I call for abundance for crystals, everyone started sending them in. So I want to start gifting them to people as well. So, because I like to give things to people. So, yeah, we'll just see how it goes. Oh boy, I'm ordering a crystal box now. What's the link? I'm so excited. So you can go to daniellelipton.com and it's under the crystal package. If you guys want a particular color, just send me a message, right? There's a whole jar of them. So there's green, there's like a light blue, and there's a dark blue. Yeah, beautiful. Does anyone have any more questions? So we have that. Okay, so I do offer Ascension packages. And so now every one of my regular session people, they're like, you have to tell people about the package. Because the second that you have 3 sessions, you might as well get a package because you get 6 sessions for the same exact price. So it's way beneficial. So I offer that on the website. Plus, I do regular sessions. I do healing sessions. After Saturday, I am going to set up attachment release sessions. Now, the attachment release sessions, it's going to be extensive, and it's going to really be like a one-on-one basis. So we're going to have to work those where it's going to take about anywhere from an hour to 2 hours to 3. I'm not going to stop. So if I get someone on the phone who wants to release their attachments, if they're willing to continue to go and release them, I'm going to sit there until a large chunk of their attachments are released. This is a very emotional process. So, you know, we have to consider it with the utmost compassion. And it's for hardcore people who really want to release and be healed. So when the attachment release session is out, I will make another notification. But it's definitely coming because I feel like people can really benefit from it. And releasing the attachments, you have to also agree to take a bath and use saltwater products after you are done. Otherwise, all of that work for all those hours, all the attachments can last back on. It's pointless. So, all right, but I'll let you guys know when that comes to light. And so that's going to be amazing. So, yeah, welcome. I think that's it. And once again, it's like 2 hours went by. I can't believe it. So, yeah, thank you guys so incredibly much. So you guys can go to daniellelipton.com. You can find me. That's where you can get a session, or the attachment class is Saturday. The crystal package is at daniellelipton.com. Anybody who wants to send in crystals to be re-gifted. And so you can send them to Danielle Lipton, P.O. Box 56, Emmaus, Pennsylvania. And that's 18049. So you guys can, everyone was so great. They sent in crystals, and it just really makes a difference because now I don't have to worry about abundance. I just jam pack all the boxes as full as it can go. And then I'm like, okay, I can't fit another thing in there, and wham, and I wrap it up and send it out. So it's just beautiful. Thursday with you, and thank you for being with us. What's Thursday? Is today Thursday? Oh. The Many Love and Blessings Thursday. See, I don't pay attention to the time. I'm a stay-at-home mom. So every day I try not to focus, but I do check my calendar app. So, I mean, I should really get on that a little bit. But I don't know. To me, it just feels amazing because, like, when you start to live by the sun, it changes everything. And so when you wake up, the sun's there, and then you just, like, you watch the sun all day, you go outside, and then it goes down. You're like, okay, I have this much more time because you start to recognize cues and the signs from nature. That's how I like to live my life. Of course, it's not always, you can't always do that because a lot of the times it's like, oh, you have a session. So someone's waiting for you. And I like to always show up for my people. Even scheduling the lives, right? I set like 2 or 3 alarms. I'm like, I show up for my people because I know the information is so valuable to everyone. And I'm like, I don't like what I see on like TikTok. Well, I shouldn't say that I don't like it, but I'm like, they need to have more access to the knowledge and the information. It needs to be widespread. Everybody should know the information or have access to it. So, yeah, it's amazing. Thank you. Many, many love and blessings, guys. Thank you so much for showing up tonight. And you guys have many, many love and blessings.